I hope you'll be staying for the officially third and final part to the Style Boutique saga, no matter how long it takes.
So it's been over a year and a half. Apparently that's how long it takes. A year and a half and a Barbie video and an arcane video and one bombastic bassoon beat. Well, at least it's finally time for... Hey gamers! So yeah, it's been a while since I've made a video on this series. I got caught up in a lot clearly. But I'm finally unemployed for a while and I can finally make this video! Yay! The final video of the trilogy! I've been waiting for this day to actually come to fruition and I'm so glad it's not just a throwaway comment I made in my first big video. Right, time to start this video in earnest. Style Boutique, Style Savvy, Girls Mode, whatever you call it in your region, I'm here to discuss the final entry of the series, Nintendo presents New Style Boutique 3, again a mouthful, which has the subtitle Styling Star. And on the off chance that someone has clicked on this video with zero knowledge on the series, I describe these games as cool fashion games with a mix of strategy and life sim stuff. It makes them very distinct from games you'd find on, I don't know, Girls Go Games, and they have a bunch of love put into their development. Again, I must plug my own video if you are interested in the development of the series and how it all began. This video will have comparisons between the other games in the series, and while I will be explaining the basics of some mechanics, I go into way more depth in my other videos, which I'll link somewhere. Description, iCard thing, editor me do something. Anyways, I'm English, so you'll hear me calling the series Style Boutique very often, but for short I will be referring to this game specifically as Styling Star. Same goes for Trendsetters and Fashion Forward, the shorthand ways to refer to the first and second entries for the 3DS. The DS version doesn't get a nickname, I'm sorry. Before we start, I can't forget the opinion warning. Everything I say was just my opinion. Feel free to have a different one. Again, sheep theory is real and nuance is important to make your own judgments off the information I provide. I love these games, but I'm in no way the most knowledgeable on them, especially since I make these videos in a really convoluted way and I won't remember stuff from 3 years ago. I'm gonna make a mistake somewhere, live, laugh, love. Now, Styling Star is an odd one for me. I've always regarded it as the black sheep game out of the series in my mind, and I think part of that is due to my initial experience with the game. So, just when the format of my videos can get any more confusing, it's story time! My older sister was my first exposure to the Style Boutique series with Trendsetters. As younger siblings do, I copied her and got my own copy of the game in 2014, which I immediately fell in love with. While my sister never bought any of the games past that, I was hooked. Fashion Forward was my birthday gift in 2015. Then came 2017. That was a crazy year. Things I remember at 10 years old are the launch of the Nintendo Switch and a mild curiosity in the new Zelda. The 3DS was kind of on its way out with the new console, let alone it being a hybrid. Also in my memories are visions of JSH DIY, No Glue No Borax Slime, and fidget spinners. Had I seen adverts for a new Style Boutique entry? I think so. I have vague memories of something. One thing I do remember though was the Styling Star demo, which I have proof of having played a grand total of like 4 times. I'm very sparing with my demos. I played through the demo again for the sake of this video, and I'd say it provides a very good taste of the game and what it has to offer. But I can't get into it without spoiling the actual game, so just know it existed. I like to call Styling Star the game that was set up to fail. A hyperbolic assessment, but at least partially true. It has the least sales out of the series, and despite being published in November in Japan and Europe, a good spot for new game releases due to it being within the holiday period, it only ever got a digital release in North America. On Christmas Day. I don't know how the culture works over there, but in my house, no one is buying gifts on Christmas. That's the start of a liminal time between the 25th and New Year's, but all you do is sit around and eat leftover food. It's also obviously released 8 months after the Switch came out. Not the best setup for success. Though I will say they tried. I've seen many a Facebook post for the game while doing my research, and the existence of a demo in the first place tells me that whoever was marketing this game was trying their best. I'm just not sure the target demographic should have been Facebook users. But I think all of these variables definitely had an impact on me and my initial experience with the game. I got the game for Christmas and played it immediately according to my activity log. But I do remember being kind of confused when I first got it. First of all, the box art for the game was weirdly different to the other two games I owned. Something about the art style felt off. The same is true for Japan's box art, which looks less detailed than its predecessors. As for the European box art, I feel it's the opposite problem. It was just a different style altogether. Then, the sound effects sounded weirdly low quality, which again I'll talk about later. And then... him. Uncle Tim. I'm sorry, but this guy looks so bad. Which is partially the point of his character, but why are his eyes like 2 pixels wide? I just couldn't get into the game first try. I think I found it kind of slow and boring. Also, I had a brand new Nintendo Switch and Splatoon 2 waiting for me. So I dropped the game. For 5 years, I never really touched it again. I have this thing where I feel kind of guilty if I don't like a game and then I just avoid it. I don't know what that says about me. Anyways, it's 2022 and I'm having a 3DS phase. Or a Star Boutique phase, because that's the only thing I have. But after hours of playing Trendsetters and Fashion Forward, I was craving a new Star Boutique experience. I thought, why not try Styling Star again? I could always reset the game and start over. I booted up the game only to realise that I was literally still in the tutorial stage. Wow. I really didn't give this game a chance at all, did I? So, with the very developed brain of a 15-year-old, I finally tried to truly appreciate the game. Part of me is glad I didn't play it until I was older because, dude, this game, so good. It even had lesbians, which I don't think I would have been able to appreciate until after my bisexual crisis at age 12. Anyways, this game is truly the reason why this video series exists in the first place. When I was younger, I had always wanted someone to talk about the Star Boutique series in an extended video, but I'd assumed it was too niche, or that people saw it as boring shovelware. It wasn't until Styling Star that wish had turned into I want to make that video. Obligatory Zelda mention. My Star Boutique history rabbit hole began with me looking through older Wata Asks interviews for Zelda games. The thing about Zelda is that they tend to recycle unused ideas from older games as gimmicks in the following games. As someone starving for information on Tears of the Kingdom, then only called Breath of the Wild 2, I wondered if I could glean anything from 10-year-old interviews. Can you tell I was desperate? But then I saw an Iwata Asks for Star Boutique and did a double take. I had no idea the game was so closely tied to Nintendo at that time. Look, I was 9 when I played these, I didn't know what the Nintendo Presents meant. And all the extra information on the game's development spurred me on to make my initial Star Boutique video on Trendsetters. It feels nice to finally make the video on the game that truly started this all. So, without further ado, let's boot it up, yeah! Before we make it to the start screen, I'd like to give a small shout out to these, not really sure what to call them, game preview thingies? They were just a fun detail for 3DS games that would pop up on the top screen when inserting a game cartridge. Usually the name of the game would show up with a 3D graphic that spins around when you blow into the microphone. My ranking would be Trendsetters, Fashion Forward, and then Styling Star. Trendsetters has this cool music box vibe with one of the characters walking around. I love seeing all the parts of this come together, like the 3D music box contrasted with the very obvious GIFs used for the walk cycle and wind-up component, and the 2D textures of shopfront slapped on top. It's messy and I love it. The music is honestly what makes me love it so much though. It's short, punchy, and unmistakably Star Boutique. I always stop to listen to it before playing. Fashion Forward screen is objectively the best and only loses out to Trendsetters because I like the music a bit less. Again, we have a small character running, Sophie, and a spinning display of several shop interiors, clearly a play on the music video that plays on the game's title screen. I really love the detail with this one. Styling Stars is just kinda boring. Rosie, one of the main characters, stands waving in the middle of some stage with a massive pink heel in it. I feel like the colours clash with the European title, which has the massive turquoise 3. It's just not very exciting. Anyways, let's boot it up for realsies. 2 things this game inherits from Fashion Forward. 1. Amazingly quick load times. The game also saves itself every time it boots up. 2. Musical introductions. It definitely feels more at home in this game compared to Fashion Forward, for reasons I'll get into soon. The song even has a name, Fight for Your Style. It's a cute, quirky, motivational song, I guess. Again, not my thing. My idea of motivation is... It's also accompanied by 2D and 3D animation, which both look really good. Though I will say the 3D style often attempts that anime technique when you place the mouth of a character more towards the camera rather than the center of the face, which looks a little weird on a CG model. But the song is definitely very catchy. Do I still skip it as soon as I open the game? Yeah. But that's only because it's so loud!
Are you ready? Don't you be afraid!
Here you have the option to continue your save file or look at other. As the top screen says, this section allows you to change spot pass settings, erase save data, and more, including selecting your currency. As the game progresses, I think these are typically unlocked after finishing the main story in all 3 3DS games, you unlock the ability to change your character's appearance, choose a different shop assistant, and my favourite option! First, let's check out character customization. We still have the same selection of 3 heights and 3 face shapes. I think there's a decent selection of eye shapes, and I like the added detail of having monolids and double eyelids. On the other hand, the lack of diversity in body shapes makes itself loud and clear every time a character animation is particularly expressive and they end up looking like a stick bug. Again, different body types would add so much variety to customers. Oh, also you're still stuck in the body of a woman. Not everyone's ideal. I think this game in particular would be fine with a masculine body option, considering how the story doesn't put a lot of emphasis on the player themselves. Again, it could very easily adopt a New Horizons means of this just being a style rather than a gender binary thing. One gripe I have with every Style Boutique game is the selection of browns for eyes in the basic character customizer. Like, why are none of these just normal brown? We have blue, green, and then 3 different shades which don't feel like brown. There's a pinkish brown, usually the one I go for, a more grey brown, and a yellowy brown. Please let me have normal brown without using eye contact, please, and thank you. Eyebrows are eyebrows. One thing I will say about the lip selection is that, why do so few of these have a thicker upper lip? I can't complain for myself because, I don't really have an upper lip, but this selection feels very lower lip heavy. Just a small pet peeve. Mole placement is cool. Wish there was more diversity for freckle placement, but hey, it's nice to have them. And skin colour. Oh, skin colour. Again, 8 selections, already slim pickings, but it's just white as paper white. Nice. I also appreciate the midtones being less red-toned and more olive this time around. But, there are still people with red undertones. Can we have both? Maybe? And don't get me started on the darkest skin tones. They look pretty nice on the selection screen. Nicely saturated and oh no. This isn't even skin. Why is it grey? Like, how hard is it to just... Surely someone on the graphics team knows that the darker a colour gets, the more saturated it should be to preserve the core colour and avoid an ashy look on the skin. Surely. I just don't understand it. This also makes choosing makeup in games so much harder. I can only really wear 1 blush and 1 lipstick for an everyday look because everything else looks so... Since Sophia learns skin tones petition, please. Then to assistant selection. Yay! I'm not alone anymore! There's a selection of 6 this time, and each assistant represents a specific style. Shin and Ken wear basic clothing, Sylvia wears feminine clothing, Hannah wears lively clothing, Archie wears bold clothing, and Rahil wears chic clothing. While we're here, I just need to highlight how much I love the diversity in the PAL localization of Style Boutique. Like, there's so many cool names! And brown names! Rahil, Hafsa, isn't that so cool? What's slightly less diverse is the range of styles represented by the assistants, as I do wish there were assistants for things like boho chic or preppy. Something this game in particular experiments a lot with is dual styles, i.e. having one person open to wearing 2 styles. I think this could have been incorporated into assistants too, so you could cover more styles with fewer people. Still, it's a nice selection. I think I started out with Shin, tried Hannah for a while, and I'm currently working with Rahul. Not that it makes much of a difference, but it's nice to feel like I'm supporting the style boutique economy. Also, it'd be nice for assistants to have unique abilities again, like in Trendsetters. The things I'd do for a fully stocked storeroom. Finally, my favourite button out of all of these. Again, remember that when I played this game through for the first time in 2022, I was desperate for Zelda. Part of that desperation was lamenting the absence of a post-game world in Breath of the Wild. You defeat Calamity Ganon and that's it. Just a star on your save file. No special things, no looking at a reconstructed Hyrule. So, when I finished Styling Star and saw a New Game Plus option, I'm pretty sure I choked. Yes! Star Boutique did New Game Plus before Zelda. Again, this is a goated series. It essentially allows you to play through the story from the beginning while keeping your store stock, your own personal inventory and funds, while also giving you some small quality of life improvements which I'll highlight throughout this video. Pretty nice. Although it will reset your contacts list and you'll have to build up your friendships with people all over again. Now, with the title screen complete, despite the awkward layout of these buttons, there is no secret 7th button. Let's finally get into what makes the Star Boutique entry distinct from its predecessors. The story for this game is crazy. Bonkers even. Like whatever my voice is doing right now. Hold on. Oh my god. Definitely the longest and most in-depth we've ever gotten from the Star Boutique series. Part of this may be due to changes in the development team, as this is the first entry without Yurie Hattori as a director. My girl boss queen. Although the producers are mainly the same from the past two games. Or maybe they just thought this was a natural development of the series, considering Fashion Forward was slightly more content heavy in terms of story. Now, I will preface, this is a decently abridged version of events in the game. I won't talk about the elaborate disguise escape plotline, as cool as it is. This section won't be as detailed as I want it to be, but maybe that's better than having a 3-hour-long video analysing the significance of cow figurines. Anyways, story. Unlike Fashion Forward, there is no reality warping in this game. You do not turn into a tiny miniature, nor is your grandmother weirdly cryptic. Instead, Styling Star introduces us to a new but equally mysterious relative, Uncle Tim, the man whose design is the bane of my existence. It seems like the player has come over to this new city, which the game lets you name. I named mine Hyrule because you know me at this point, to get some good old-fashioned employment. Well, never fear, because Uncle Tim admits that despite owning a fashion boutique, called Tomorrow, it's this whole thing he preaches about, fashion is not what his heart desires, which is made visually obvious. Instead, he yearns to travel and rekindle his love for music. Basically, he's going through a midlife crisis. So, he hands down the boutique to you and your very capable hands after proving your stylist skills with his friend Abigail, who is also like his sole customer. Get yourself a friend like Abigail, guys. You can name the boutique anything you want, as per usual. Again, do I need to explain my shop's name? And choose an assistant. Then Uncle Tim runs away to cause general havoc. Like, genuinely. Characters are always telling me about some crazy man smashing his guitar into pieces and running away or something before rambling about the wonders of tomorrow. I just think it's a bit rude to leave your niece not even 2 days after moving into a new city. Much like Fashion Forward, this city is low-key, high-key falling off. The square is the emptiest place on the map, according to the characters. There's this talent agency called Nin10 Pro. Yes, that is genuinely the name. I know, it's awful. And it's run by one of the most insane human beings in Star Boutique history, Ethan. He has one aim, world domination, and I'm quite sure he's a lizard in a suit of flesh. Like there is no light behind those sparkly eyes. This guy is so desperate for people to join his talent agency that he comes up to them in the middle of the street and says stuff like, "You, over there, how do you feel about helping me change the world with a view towards eventually ruling it?" Very Grunkle Stan and Season 1 Episode 2 of Gravity Falls coded.
My ex-wife still misses me, but her aim is getting better. Her aim is getting better. You see, it's funny because marriage is terrible.
Oh yeah, it's probably time I mention localization. Like Fashion Forward, British English was the only English translation this game received. Probably not a surprise considering what the US did with selling this game. In quotes, because a digital-only sale speaks for itself. So you'll have lines like, "It's nothing dodgy," or "That Vincent bloke," or "She's not your average punter." Do people in North America ever say dodgy or bloke? I don't know. Anyways, even though Fashion Forward used some British English terminology like trousers instead of pants, which I still don't get. What do you mean trousers it's not a normal word for you? What do you mean? That's like the most normal word ever. Pants is like completely different. Styling Star goes crazy with it when it comes to dialogue. It's honestly what made this game so memorable for me. It's like the game was speaking a secret language and I understood. It also allows for a lot more deadpan humor, I feel. I think there's a slight difference between North America and Britain when it comes to humor. And this game is so funny. Like, just take this one interaction, featuring my awful French accent. I'm sorry, French people, it had to be done. Bienvenue. You are a first-time customer, are you not? You must be. I never forget a face. What? You're supposed to laugh at that part. I can't. You just ruined the entire idea of jokes for me and maybe everyone on Earth. Oh, désolé. My comedy routine still has a ways to go yet, it seems. What's wrong with you? You might be the toughest crowd I've ever had. Hey, she might be a comedy purist. However, c'est la vie. One must live a life of positivity. The road is long and hard, but I must do my best at the Paris. Well, how can I help you? What will you have? Cette baguette. Pardon me? Cette baguette. What kind of bread might that be? I want 7 baguettes! I'm trying to use what I hope is your language. She's so racist, Karen Core here. Oh, did you mean 7 baguettes? I was trying to think what a 7 baguette was. Baguette set. Let's be upon there. Anyways, I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting you to say something like that. I just want bread. You don't joke about bread. Like, this is peak dialogue. I love this game. Anyways, back to the main story. As you work at the boutique, you come across 3 girls and their various fashion woes. There's Rosie, a girl from the countryside whose key personality trait is being clumsy. Yolanda, the heiress of the Celestial Hotel Fortune. Basically, she's loaded. And Alina, a girl with a secret second identity as the famous vlogger Alinatron. This is Ricky and Mickey all over again, but people are 10 times more dumb about it. Yolanda's introduction was the best. She's running from a quote-unquote shifty man and gets chased into a dark alleyway, which turns out to be the cafe. She's run away from her family mansion. I just love how dramatic it is. Like, only in a fashion series like Style Boutique would you have a crazy stalker-type fake-out in a place called Nin10 Pro. All 3 girls enter your boutique needing something to wear for various musical performances, and because you're so OP at fashion, all 3 manage to get hired by Nin10 Pro. Yay! They all have their internal struggles. For Yolanda, it's the clash between her family's expectation for her to take on the family business at the Celestial Hotel and her dream of being a singer. She keeps it a secret from everyone, including her bodyguard Fortman, with the stage name Lady Moon. But once Fortman discovers how passionate she is about singing, he supports her in keeping the secret, and becomes weirdly passionate himself. A real one. For Alina, it's balancing her life as Alina Golding and her MewTube and singing career as Alinatron, while keeping it a secret from her best friend Melvin. Rosie's problems are... employment? Lesbian angst? Despite your help and their rising fame, each of the girls' worst fears come true. Yolanda's mother discovers her secret after seeing a familiar face in a shampoo advert and spying on her using a detective. Melvin puts the pieces together about Alina after she sings the theme song to their favourite show, Wars of the Space Knights. And Rosie nearly loses Camilla after she thinks she'd be better off without her now that she's famous. Wait, I forgot to mention who Camilla is. She is her childhood best friend from school, and she's always been her bestie forever and ever, and she is total tsundere about how much she likes Rosie, but she'll do anything to support her, and yeah, It's cool. And she's mega rich too. So it's fun because it's like two different class backgrounds coming together. Unless Rosie's farm family is like really rich. That could also be the case. I don't know at this point. Yolanda's story gets a little deep, and I'm glad it's not as simple as, my mum sucks and won't let me live out my dreams. Their hotel has been struggling to keep up with competition, and ever since Yolanda's father passed away, running the business alone has been hard on her mother. They have a nice compromise where Yolanda decides to take the whole megastar thing a little slower in order to support her mother with the family business. Her mother realizes how stifled Yolanda feels under the pressure of taking over the business and supports her singing career. Melvin feels a little betrayed that Alina didn't tell him about her secret identity sooner. He runs off and Alina is sad. You'd think there'd be a regular apology here, but no. Remember that Alina is a MewTuber. Now ask yourself, what does a MewTuber do after a wrongdoing? Apology video. I'm not even joking. You have to give her a more formal, feminine look for a MewTube apology video. Yeah. Anyways, Melvin also apologizes in formal clothing and the status quo is restored. Finally, in the gayest series of events, after learning that Camilla has left her, Rosie has a whole moment in a movie shoot where she can't stop thinking about Camilla and messes up her lines. She has a big performance afterwards, but she's pretty depressed. She tries and fails a call and response chant that Camilla had made up as a means to appreciate her. The crowd is dead until Camilla shows up and starts her classic chant, "Rah, rah, Rosie!" before the two make up and perform a duet. I was seriously waiting for a massive love confession the entire game, but this is honestly close enough. Even if it's not necessarily official, there's like no other way to take this. Childhood friends to lovers. It's really sweet to see how much they care about each other, and see Camilla being a tsundere every 2 seconds. Anyways, yeah, after they all overcome their respective struggles, Ethan has a master plan. Girl group time! Forget Huntrix, guys. We need J-pop lesbian hunters. Again, I named them Triforce because you know why. This one makes the most sense anyway. There's three of them. I don't need to justify myself to you. The girls' different styles clash initially until they have a super cool, mega epic girls' night and they win the Style Boutique national event. Style Boutique is also a magazine and Uncle Tim is somehow working with its editor-in-chief, Kiki Summers. I mean, it's nice to have him come back even if it's for bragging rights. Arsehole. Also, Camilla begins her own journey as a singer. Just because. How hard can it be? And I totally respect that mindset. And that's pretty much it for the main story of the game. There's side plots like following the singing journey of Momo and her sister, and setting up places like the live music studio, but Yolanda, Rosie, and Alina remain the main three you'll follow during the game. And what a ride! Trust me, I don't do it justice with just a synopsis. The story is the true core of this game and the absolute highlight. But that's probably exactly why I can't say the game as a whole is as solid as the rest of the series. Again, the foundation of this series is the gameplay, the strategy element. Making something as iterative as selling clothing something satisfying and something interesting. And without the story, I'm not sure the game succeeds at this. With the story, this game is amazing. The way they integrate the story into actual gameplay is great. I'll never forget the time Yolanda's mother came into my store asking for her, only to buy my entire stock of Chiral clothing. No, I don't mean I ripped her off. I mean she literally just straight up asked me, "Aw man, can't find my daughter here. Anyways, that's some cool brand you have there. I'll take your entire stock. Is that cool?" I just gained 14,000 pounds. Like the game shows the little animation when you sell clothes and BAM! Suddenly I can pay off my mortgage for the next 7 months. Okay, that doesn't sound very impressive anymore. It's a life-changing sum. There. While previous games had a large emphasis on fashion shows and competitions, this meant that a lot of your styling wouldn't really contribute to the main story, or it would be tied to one place. But in Styling Star, not only do you style a lot of the main characters in the boutique, but they also bring you to places like Nin10 Pro and special event places where the story will continue to unfold. The stories focus on a talent agency and 3 famous singers, who eventually branch out into things like advertising and movies, works really well for Style Boutique. I guess idol culture began to grow in the mid-2010s? I don't really know. I can't call the story timeless just yet, but with stuff like the BTS craze in 2018 and K-pop Demon Hunters in 2025, I think the story remains quite culturally relevant, without being too specific to the point where it's obvious it came from 2017. Yes, some songs are a little dated, but with the main hook of the story being the girls having dual styles, the songs cover a broad range of genres, which definitely increases their appeal, as opposed to sticking to pop. Following on from that point, the whole dual style thing is low-key, high-key genius when it comes to gameplay too. I'd gotten very used to sticking to a specific handful of styles in the other games. It doesn't help that the game's options to change your shop interior influence the type of customers entering your store, which often meant I never diverged from the path of bold, girly, feminine, and chic clothing. Of course, I'd have a range of requests for styles, but I never really put much thought into those outfits. In Styling Star, I was forced to consider more styles. How do I style rock outside fashion shows or for a quick buck? How do I make lively work? Of course, I could give the girls literally anything to wear, but the story adds a sentimental drive. I don't want Rosie looking like she just swam in blood and ink if she's wearing a rock outfit. I want to consider what would actually look good on her, and on the way, learn some new clothing combos. I'm not the biggest fan of bright colours and pictures on clothing, but layering clothing with the lively style definitely reminds me of making glam outfits and trendsetters. Rest in peace. And Styling Star's additional accessories definitely allow you to create more complex outfits. Maybe something more along the lines of Harajuku fashion. However, if there's any reason why this game's story falls short, it's because I'm not the main character. That sounds awful, because it is. And of course, it's a very subjective point of view. It's just that the player is cast into more of a support role rather than being the main focus in Styling Star. Not a problem in and of itself, but for me, I think I enjoy stories with a bit more focus on me. That sounds really weird, but I also think it's decently logical. It serves as additional motivation. Another Zelda mention, but it's why I enjoy Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess a lot more than Tears of the Kingdom. The story is about Link, his friends, his family, his motivations. Skyward Sword in particular does a good job at making the story about Zelda as well, without sacrificing any development from Link. Tears of the Kingdom, on the other hand, watch Zelda have fun talking to the Zonai and Sonia. Link? Who's Link? Just seen your girlfriend sacrifice herself to become the dragon that's been chilling in the sky this whole time? Light work, no reaction. Why does N64 Leonardo DiCaprio show more emotion than this? For a game named Tears of the Kingdom, there were not a lot of tears coming from the knight and protector of said kingdom. Anyways, yeah, I got caught up in Zelda again, let me go back. Previous installments of the Star Boutique series had a lot more focus on the player's own journey, whether it was rising the ranks and proving I'm better than Harriet in Trendsetters, or becoming a 10-job girl boss in Fashion Forward. I don't really get a sense of that personal progression in Styling Star. It's like I'm just born amazing at fashion, which is cool, but you know, I'd like to share some of that progression that the main three have. This is an issue that persists way beyond the story, and it's just the motivation to play this game. Of course you can replay the story using New Game Plus, and yeah, I love reading the same funny dialogue again, but is it really sustainable in comparison to Fashion Forward? Speaking of, there's a severe lack of seasonal events in this game. Maybe partly due to ditching the real-time clock, but Fashion Forward featured so many little side stories, especially ones happening on special days like Christmas. It just leaves the game feeling a little empty outside the main story. So, ultimately, Styling Star's story is legendary. It's truly the core of this game. But it's like making a cake out of icing and then covering it with cake. It just can't keep the whole game up. Yay, cake allegory! Also, Angelique, I have no clue how you're supposed to say her name. Angelique Noir exists. She is big famous, but has similar farm background to Rosie. I don't have much to say about her, I guess she's cool. All the girls idolize her. I don't know, she has money. I want her to give it to me. The art style. It's not my favourite. My least favourite, actually. The character designer for this game was manga artist Lily Hoshino, and the Japanese cover for the game gives you a pretty good example of her style. Thin lines, highly detailed eyes, and very light on the rendering. Some of you may know my complicated feelings towards yaoi. All I'll say is, you can definitely feel some of the yaoi proportions in the anatomy of her characters. That said, I quite like the character design in this game. Each character feels very distinctive, and while some characters tend to dress a lot like specific archetypes, like deadbeat uncle, nerd, and boss and CEO, I think it works in the game's favour. In a game with a longer and more detailed story, with a decent number of moving parts, it's nice to have memorable characters. Designs definitely feel a lot more intentional, and even if characters look kinda goofy, it fits the goofy story. What I'm mixed on is the art direction itself. Given that this is the most recent entry in the series, there are a bunch of improvements here. Lighting can look really beautiful, especially at night. Graphics are more crisp, and I especially love how they utilise the dual screen when someone new enters town. But that's kind of it for me. Like with any game, it'll look weird when you first play it. That feeling fades with time. And yeah, going back to the older games after this does make them look a little bit weird, but I still think Styling Star's style isn't the best. I'm not really sure how to describe it, to be honest. Is this cel shading? Kinda? Things definitely look a lot more graphic if we compare to the softer light and shadow and fashion forward. I guess I'd call it sharp, but almost to the point where it gets obnoxious. Like, how many highlights does one eye need? An example of highlights with better execution would be Arcane. I usually stick to one highlight in my art. It looks weird to have more. But Arcane often has 3 or 4 highlights without it feeling too overpowering. I think part of that is keeping the pupil relatively unobstructed. Hey, this is a good chance for a study. Take my trials of different eyes. I mean, the eyes are the biggest piece of criticism I see this game get, and I totally see why. But apart from that, I feel like I'd say it just feels weirdly inconsistent. They remove details such as visible shadows of hair strands within the hair, but don't really give the hair any more depth to compensate for that. At the same time, skin is rendered in such a way that it seems unnaturally shiny, like porcelain, so the texture of skin isn't really suggested. Then the eyes are like crazy detailed. The result is an art style that just looks a little bit flat. Backgrounds are more like trendsetters in terms of colour, looking a little bit more realistic compared to the miniature world of Beaumont. But it all looks like it's missing some additional lighting or rendering, so seeing characters interact with the space looks a little bit off. I much prefer trendsetters for its realism and fashion forward for its cohesion and versatility. This game also lacks 3D capabilities, so things look even more flat. Also, let's not forget the role the art style had in my decision not to play the game for 5 years. I know, don't judge a book by its cover, but yeah. You know what I hate more though? The UI. What is this? So skin colors can't be saturated, but the stylus rank bar can be neon yellow? I'll let the weird almost skeuomorphism type UI slide because, I don't know, the game released in 2017, but it had probably been in development for a while and we weren't fully in the world's corporate minimalism phase, but there is so much going on right now! Like, there's a phone background, translucent boxes that try to help you read the white text but still look messy. Look, I know that's a lot like my editing, but I'm working on a phone and an editor that keeps trying to push AI down my throat and I don't like it. And just, there's so much information. Like, okay, date time to do this, stylus rank, phones 14 out, save button in the corner, back button in the corner, phone frame, background. Ladies, calm down, I'm not going anywhere. The UI just lacks dimension. And I also just don't think it's very well adapted to the game itself. Take the back to title screen button next to the sleep button. The font isn't just smaller, but it's weirdly stretched out. It makes me feel like I'm playing a fake version of the game. The colours are fine, like at least they belong to the same colour palette, but they also use every colour under the sun and it feels a little overwhelming. I don't think it's ever really helped me to navigate things that much faster, especially when I have 3 similarly sized purple buttons next to each other which all do drastically different things. I mean, look at the simplicity of Trendsetter's screen. 3 differently coloured buttons that don't take up an awkward amount of space. 3 large circular buttons to signal their higher importance. The largest button is the closet, which you'll probably use the most, save button aside. The buttons have large images that clearly tell you what they lead to. Styling Star has pictures, yeah, but it just feels awkward and plain. The pages are also quite small. I know this is because it has more to offer, but it also just feels less cohesive. I feel like there's a better way to organise this. Also, the game desperately needs some like anti-aliasing or something, because why does my door in my boutique look so jagged? It's Style Boutique. Risk and reward is back. Again, for those unfamiliar, Style Boutique has a heavy emphasis on strategy when it comes to selling clothes. Customers come in with a wide range of requests, from single items of clothing, like trainers for PE, to full outfits, like a baby doll outfit for the beach. Camilla, you're crazy. They'll also all have an approximate budget, which is largely reliant on their style or image preferences. The game has a selection of 10 images from girly to rock. Simply choose an item or outfit that fits your customer request. However, it's often more complicated than just a request asking for a girly skirt. The game doesn't shy away from specific terminology or being weirdly vague. Sometimes a customer will ask for a bag, and if you're silly like me, you'll give them a clutch. Wrong. Bags are bags. A clutch is not a bag. It's in the bag section, but do not be fooled. Sometimes customers will just ask for something that suits them, and you'll have to use your in-game knowledge to identify what their style is. It sounds hard, and it definitely can be in the early game, but the longer you play, the easier it is to recognize a denim sleeveless shirt dress or a flower pipe jacket, and identify those as girly and chic respectively. How the hell do I know what's girly, I hear you say? Isn't the idea of contemporary womanhood a social construct built to restrict feminine identity through both conformity and defiance of said patriarchal ideal? Yeah. Anyways, be thankful there's the super dandy filter option to help us out. That's right. For the simple price of free, the game will tell you what clothes fit society's conception of womanhood and enable you to further conserve said ideals in the beautiful city of YC. That's New York without the Cuomo and with an all-inclusive Ma'am Donnie X Uncle Tim DLC pack. Basically, you click button and button narrows down good option. Customers aren't usually super picky about budget if you go over it by about £10 or something. But, and maybe it's just my mind, I once offered a high school student trainers that were £8 over her budget and she slagged me off in front of her brother, while another customer happily paid £20 over budget for a skirt. I gave her exactly what she asked for. Trainers are expensive! I hate kids. Once you've chosen your clothing, you'll have the option to tell a customer to take a look or try it on. The former gives you 3 chances to impress a customer, and each time you'll receive feedback on what could be improved. If they like the clothing straight away, they'll try it on themselves and you'll pretty much be guaranteed a sale. If you fail those 3 times, I think that's a you problem. You don't get anything for that, I'm sorry. For try it on, customers will have full faith in your confidence, trying on the clothes immediately. If they like it, you make a sale. If they don't, they're out of there. No money's for you. All of the styles from Fashion Forward are back in full glory. We have lively, Eastern, basic, girly, psychedelic, boho chic, gothic, baby doll, bold, rock, chic, feminine, preppy, and... wait. Did they get rid of sporty? Yeah, so basically I guess they didn't want the Lululemon girlies playing this one. They moved a lot of the clothing from Street Flow to Basic Hue or April Bonbon. Rest in peace. Join Gyara in the glam and Miss Ribbon backrooms. But you know what they did add to the clothing section? Dedicated sections for watches and bracelets, headphones and earrings! Whoa! Are any of these game changers considering we already had some in Fashion Forward? Not really. But it's cool to have something new to layer with, and have earrings and glasses worn simultaneously. And an even number of clothing slots, with 18 slots instead of the 15 from Fashion Forward. So, to round up risk and reward in Style Boutique, the risk is having full confidence in your outfit and the customer hates it, meaning no money's for you. And the reward is having them like it first try, which can sometimes mean they'll buy more from you, which means more monies. Yay! But wait! I'm gonna need a moment for this. Right. So when I make these videos, I like to get an idea of the game's reception by looking at contemporary reviews. It lets me know if my opinions are shared by others or if they're completely unfounded. What I did not expect to find after owning this game for 8 years was that there's a search by order button. I kid you not, I had no idea this existed until researching for this video and doing a double take when I saw a reviewer mention it. What do you mean there's just a button that just does the filters for you. Even right now, as I am writing this, I am clicking my little metallic blue clamshell device open and closed in disbelief. What do you mean there was a button for this the whole time? What do you mean? You know what? I can't fully blame myself on this one. I refuse to blame myself. Why? Because this is exactly how I felt about finding men's fashion and fashion forward. Why would you put the button there? I have never noticed this, ever. I feel like I've just missed out on an entire chunk of the game. Which technically I did in my defense. This was probably part of the tutorial I missed when replaying again in 2022. So, my thoughts. You know me. You know that while I like making nice outfits, I also love to maximize my money, and by extension in this capitalist hellscape, my time. This means that when serving a customer, I go straight to the filter option, search for the right item, and then make a selection from the newly narrowed down items. I enjoyed this routine. My muscle memory loves going from the middle of the screen to the bottom middle left. It's who I am. So having this search by order button? You'd think I'd love it. It saves me so much time. Just click 2 buttons. Bam! Usually when doing a request like a girly casual dress, I'll just select girly as an image filter and use my own sense to distinguish between a casual dress and a party dress. Sometimes to my own detriment. I mean, it's not my fault I would wear a fancier dress casually. However, this button removes that obstacle, and gives me items guaranteed to please the customer. Infinite money glitch, right? I can always say try it on, and therefore get a higher chance of a customer asking for a full outfit, thereby increasing my sales and my monies. But the concept of this button actually upsets me a little. It's like how I feel about the new check stock and I'll just stock up responses you can now give to customers, which give you a chance to buy extra clothes from the exhibition hall if you're missing an item of clothing a customer wants. I know I don't have to use it, and I don't for the most part, but the fact that it does exist makes me feel like I should, and that removes a lot of the challenge of this game for me. That challenge is one of the core reasons I love this series so much. As frustrating as it can be, it can also feel extremely cathartic to get something right on your own, to slowly figure out the game's metrics for what a good outfit should be, and adapting the way you style accordingly. Or to just take the financial hit of not having a well-stocked shop. Having search by order and I'll just stock up buttons removes some of that challenge for me, even if said challenge is a surface level as, "Oh my god, scroll to the mule section quicker!" Or, "Damn it, I went broke at Enid Shen instead of stocking up at Marzipan Sky." I don't want the game to play itself for me. I want to be slaving away in the trenches of the search function, not just... Great. It sounds like something really insignificant, and it is, really. But I am a creature of habit, and I feel like some of the quality of life improvements within the boutique go almost too far. I tend to think of my experience with the search function as if I'm a real stylist, sorting through my clothing items. I want time to think about what the customer wants and look in the right places for it. It gives me a better sense of my entire stock. I don't want to simply teleport to the right item. So yeah, the search by order and stocking up buttons feel a little bit redundant to me in my playstyle. Maybe this is a godsend for some, but for me, I found it took away from some of that catharsis I felt when finding the right item for a customer. I like the slightly dubious feeling I had with some selections. Maybe I mixed up chic with feminine, or bold with girly. Maybe I haven't stocked up in a while. As humble as I feel when I get things wrong, let me make mistakes. It is important to note that the button is disabled for some requests at the boutique, such as a character asking for something that goes with an existing item of clothing. In this way, not all the challenges are raised, but at the same time, I don't see much point in the search by order function full stop if this is the case. I just think the risk and reward is a lot weaker in this game compared to the others, especially when considering the level up function, also named the stylist rank. Look, I like it. It's actually interesting how we haven't had a conventional leveling up system in the Style Boutique series until this installment. But maybe there was a reason for it. First of all, I do like being able to quantify my progress. Numbers! Yay! Numbers motivate me personally. Maybe a little more than a happiness jar or fashion tickets. But I don't think it's enough as the sole reward for selling clothing. Yes, there's also the friendship ranking with customers, where you can fill 5 hearts when interacting with a customer, but you don't really get much out of that. I didn't even notice a difference in how much XP I gained from selecting try it on against take a look. If that's the case, what advantage do you gain from selecting try it on? customers also rarely ask for additional clothing even when you do select try it on. Is this really still risk and reward if there's not even a noticeable difference in XP? Let alone the fact that if you fill your level bar for the day, it doesn't just roll over to the next level. You can only stay on one level a day. I understand this may have been done in order to more easily trigger game events, such as unlocking certain shops and storylines, as they have the illusion of appearing overnight rather than in the middle of the day. However, it just feels really unsatisfying to me. If I'm one sale away from making it to level 5 at the start of one day and make 10 sales that day, I don't get to see how much XP I've earned from 9 outfits until the next day. It kind of defeats the purpose of being able to visually see your progress when the game often hides it from you. I'd much prefer a leveling up system alongside another reward, akin to happiness. What reward do you get from leveling up? New characters, places, and storylines unlocked. But past the main story, where you might be at, say, level 50, what's the point? At least the happiness jar and fashion shows gave me little items of clothing or trinkets. The stylist rank is halfway there in this game in terms of being an efficient reward. It just refuses to show me the other half. Nin10, as I mentioned in the story, is basically a kind of talent agency where you style outfits for the main 3 characters. Janice is the receptionist, secretary, and accountant for the company. Yeah, no wonder she's always worrying. She's doing 3 people's jobs at once. Maybe 4 if we count Ethan, because apparently he sucks. She's low-key one of my favourite characters though. Maybe part of that is the fact that she gives me checks. Anyways, yes! You can get checks in this game. Money! Suddenly, and on a completely unrelated note, I have a renewed sense of motivation around photo shoots for Nin10. No, but seriously, I wish there was more to do here. Once the main storyline ends, there's not much to do. Even when starting a new game, I find myself wanting to return to Nin10 more often, but the game doesn't give me enough occasions to do so. A recurring theme for this game for me is the lack of things to do outside the main campaign. Of course, the story is absolutely amazing, but I'd like to do things outside of it. Fashion Forward, for example, had the photo studio, where you could, as the name suggests, take photos. But there was also an option for some freelance modelling work, where you could take up commissions from different companies and take photos for advertisements. I think Styling Star, had the player been given more than just a supporting role within the story, could have worked really well with a more developed version of this mode. While the main 3 girls have been picked up by the agency to become famous singers, they could similarly use the player for freelance design work. Maybe even something akin to Trendsetter's fashion contest mode, where the player could choose a model to style for an editorial or advert, with different levels of monetary rewards depending on either how well an outfit has been coordinated, akin to the star rating system from Trendsetters, or the reputation of companies themselves. For example, lower level companies would have fewer requirements and be easier to complete, a la beginner contest level, while high-end companies would have more challenging requirements and would therefore be harder to complete, a la international contest level. I think it could better add to the immersion within the game and give the player something to do, and another way to earn money, apart from the main campaign. It may also keep people playing for longer before they decide to restart, as from what I've seen a lot of players do with this game, myself included. And I usually never restart games without multiple save files. There's also Jim, Nin10's pro photographer. This is basically a way to enable solo and double photography. The solo mode allows you to change backdrops between simple backdrops, outdoor backdrops featuring in-game locations, and indoor backdrops. A pretty decent selection that I believe expands as you explore the game further. There are 58 expressions and 67 poses, also a good selection. The only thing is that, like with Fashion Forward, you have to select expressions and poses with these god-awful buttons. How many times do I have to say it? I don't want to cycle through this many options. My brain can't remember that many things at once. Again, I still prefer Trendsetter's method of having a list of poses and expressions. You can actually read and identify what you're looking for quickly. Also, no props. Where's my props? Is inflation so bad I can't even hold a fake crepe anymore? You can also pose with a grand total of 2 people. I mean, I'd prefer 3, but doesn't bother me that much. What does bother me though is the number of poses and expressions available with this. There's still 58 expressions, which is good, but pictures with 2 people only have 11 poses. And a lot of them are very samey, as in characters take up the same amount of space in most poses, and don't experiment with rotation or more expressive poses. There aren't even little animations. Oh yeah, and this is only for female characters. Try taking a picture with a man and the number of poses is downgraded to 4. How am I supposed to roleplay with my many fake Style Boutique boyfriends now? Also, the fact that both characters have to share the same expression is awkward. Also, the number of poses with men halves to 2 if they're selected as the second person. Why do men only get 3 poses with each other? Why is pose 3 as expressive as any of these get? The only decent thing about Styling Star's photo mode in comparison with the other games is that zooming in and out is pretty smooth. You may think this could get messy when it comes to getting the perfect full body, torso up and headshot images, but these still exist as presets. Just push the circle pad to the max either up or down, and the game will automatically stop at a preset position. You can adjust the zoom from there, which I think is quite intuitive. Apart from that though, Nin10 leaves a lot to be desired. Apart from the name being weirdly on the nose. Like, yes, I know who published this, you cheeky name. This game, like Trendsetters, uses an in-game calendar as opposed to the real-time clock of Fashion Forward, and man am I glad. In a game where story is the main attraction, I think the in-game clock really helped to bring a sense of progression that you'd otherwise miss if you had to follow every new story beat on a day-to-day basis. Every day lasts about 10 minutes, depending on how busy you are, but often when going to events with the main girls, the game automatically skips to night. It can feel a little sudden, and I have an irrational hatred for the night-day animation. While shops don't completely close, you'll notice fewer customers coming to your boutique at night. Another thing the game adds as a bonus after completing the main campaign is the option to take a month off. No clue why this exists, really. Maybe to give the option to do more seasonal outfits? Speedrun certain events? But progression is often so fast you don't need it. I do love the idea that the player can just choose not to work for months on end though. It's a downgrade for sure. The game takes inspiration from Trendsetters in terms of filing through your customers, but without the visual reinforcement. Customers pop up on little contact things that display their character, name, and friendship rank, and you can flip through them. I do think it's nice to actually see characters looking through clothes, but I will say I much prefer Fashion Forward's approach. I just feel like I don't get a great feel for how many customers I have in total, nor can I effectively prioritize who I want to serve first. There's also a new option to see your customers' previous outfits. I have never used it, nor have I thought to. Maybe it's nice if you want to remind yourself of a good outfit you put together, but it just feels a little unnecessary. The Manage option allows you to change the boutique's music, stock, mannequin display, general display, and assistant's outfit. Stock, as per usual, allows you to sell shop items you no longer want, but for a much lower price. Mannequins work very similarly to Fashion Forward. Again, only 4 skin tones for some reason. But oh boy, at least I could be Rihanna, Demi Lovato, and Katy Perry Smurfette! Again, only 5 poses to choose from. I don't understand why they can't just grab poses from the in-game photo studio. Maybe they aren't professional enough. But one thing brought me unbridled joy with mannequins. No more favourite hairstyles! No more wig box! You can now choose any hairstyle and hair colour for a mannequin, which it should have been like in the first place, but, you know. You can change the shop window background too. Not sure if I need to unlock something, but I only have 4. And they're all kinda ugly. 3/4 of them are various types of stripes, and the 4th is violet damask. Why damask? Remodeling is back, and there's even a scrapbook where you can save certain layouts. That comes in handy more often than you'd think. I think it also encourages the player to try remodeling more often, as it takes away the pain of having to rearrange all your items if you realise black brick walls just aren't cutting it. The miniature mechanic of Fashion Forward silently screams for recognition, as the remodeling works eerily similar to Capri Chalet, even down to how the furniture is labelled. Like, no, genuinely, the background is the same, the labels are the same. I'm pretty sure even the assets are mostly the same. This is a mini port of Fashion Forward. You can also change your shop exterior. While it looks pretty schmancy, it's nowhere near the glory of trendsetters. I will forever mourn those benches. Assistant outfits are also the usual. I did miss being able to give my assistants the worst outfits ever. No one outshines me in my own boutique. Also, let's finally talk about the best button in this entire game. The fast forward dialogue button. I can finally speedrun outfits even faster. I cannot tell you how much I've used this button with repetitive customer requests. Like, girl, I know you want a girly casual dress, let me just... The exhibition hall is where you can buy new stock from the 16 brands featured in the game. And it probably features the best quality of life improvements across the board. All stores are now open 24/7, meaning you can always stock up your boutique. With an in-game clock, you might think this takes away from some of the strategy of the game, where in previous installments, certain shops would be open on different days, meaning you had to plan your shopping trips. And while that's certainly true here, I don't think it's as bad as the disintegration of the risk and reward in the boutique. Even if all brands can be accessed, there's no guarantee that they've stocked a particular item you need. There's still the sense of strategy in terms of managing your budget and choosing clothing carefully. Do I still prefer the trendsetters approach of having the exhibition hall closed at night and only fully open on Sundays? Yeah.
Oh, whoa, I did not know it did that. Whoa. Wait, what? No freaking way.
But I'm willing to let things slide this time because I just like being able to buy clothes all the time. There's a separation between my personal opinions and my thoughts on game design. Also, there are sales for 2 selected brands on any day ending with a 5, like the 5th or 15th. So there is still an element of strategy going on. Another thing is that there are no longer floors to the exhibition hall, which may take away from a sense of realism, but I think it makes sense. Instead, the game uses areas, which are easier and quicker to navigate. The check stock button is back in the top left corner, which is helpful in terms of trying to remember what you need to stock up on. I imagine using the filter option also helps to identify whether you have a shortage of a certain image in your stock or not. Another new addition is the brand rep's choice. Brand reps welcome you to each brand at the exhibition hall, and pressing this button automatically makes a selection of the clothing which you can choose to add to your cart. I don't know how this is decided though. Do brand reps have set clothing items they select? Is it random? Do they have preferences when it comes to items of the same clothing in different colours? I don't know. But I often don't agree with the brand reps. Mainly because they choose a lot of items and I don't want to go bankrupt, thank you very much. The only brand where there isn't the option to select the brand rep choice is the VIP brand. Well, it's not really a brand, but more of a large shop that sells clothing from all the brands. I quite like it. I don't have to run around every brand trying to buy a single item of clothing. But I think having the brand rep choice here would actually be way more useful, as it would be an easy way to stock up on several brands quickly and easily, as it can be a lot to scroll through. I hate these. I hate these so bad! Okay. So remember how in Fashion Forward I couldn't decide whether I liked hairdressing or being a beautician more? Well, now I fucking hate them both! I feel like the Sonic Backpack Kid, which I used to be able to do a very good impression of when I was 12. Anyways, we'll start with the positives. The hair salon and beauticians are run by Cece and Lorelei respectively. Much like Fashion Forward, they're introduced through miniature storylines about moving to the city. There's always some sort of missing market to fill. I have to say, Lorelei is my favourite between the two. Just look at her massive green bouffant? I can't remember from the last one.
Bouffant.
But past their own storylines, you don't really get to see their characters shine. Conversation with them is just asking to get your hair or makeup done. Now onto the negatives. You can't make money. You can help out the owners by selecting hairstyles and makeup looks, but they don't compensate you for your time. I mean, maybe it's a little realistic since I'm not exactly an employee there, and who knows how much profit I'm taking from a business I don't even own. Like, I'm not a contractor since I don't have a fixed term of service, so... Anyways, yeah, not being able to make money isn't cool. It pretty much removes any incentive to help out at the hair salon or beauticians on a gameplay level. Fashion Forward had a cycle. Central to it was money, kinda. Earn money at the boutique, hair salon, beauticians, loan out Capri Chalet, and change the flow of customers and therefore revenue through fashion shows. What reason is there for me to use these features here apart from my own boredom at the boutique? Which honestly might be enough at some points, but I'm making a point. Honestly, it feels like a massive step back from fashion forward, a half-realized idea. Part of that might be the fact that this game lacks a clear gameplay loop. And what do I blame for that? The story. The game's true Achilles heel. The game relies so much on the story to keep you cycling between establishments. The girls obviously all need hair, makeup, and outfits for their stories. But after that, and beyond like those 5 characters, what else is there? Where is the core of the game? It's for this reason that a lot of people don't play the game beyond the end of the main campaign, and I myself can attest to that. I played it religiously during the main story. It was the first thing I played when I woke up, and the only time I would stop was to sustain myself through normal human means. When it ended, all motivation died. It's something you'll have to replay once you finish if you still want to enjoy it, which feels a little odd for a series like Style Boutique, which I feel is more Animal Crossing-esque in its ability to be picked up and played at any time. This also isn't helped by the sim aspects in this game, which I'll discuss soon. The actual mechanics at work at the hair salon and Beauticians also get a downgrade. Unlike Fashion Forward, where gameplay somewhat paralleled the boutique, here there's little to no challenge at all. At the hair salon, there's no longer the challenge of asking clients the right questions to get enough information to nail a hairstyle. Half the time, clients will say it's your choice, or they'll just straight up tell you what they want. Then you just do it. It's really hard to get wrong. They're not even using vague descriptors like romantic anymore. Stress me out! Come on, my cortisol levels have not spiked once! That is bad! It honestly just makes for a really boring loop. When customers show their happiness with your choices, it doesn't feel earned. Like, God, I didn't even work. Maybe that's why I don't get any money from this. As usual, you can also redo your hair here or get a surprise look by asking Cece. I do like the 3 options of cute, cool, and casual. The price isn't bad either, considering I'm not getting any richer here. It's also cheaper than a custom style, which can cost up to £200 if you're completely changing your hairstyle, fringe, and hair colour. Jesus, this lady's ripping me off. The Beauticians is infinitely worse. Since you no longer work there in the same way as Fashion Forward, there's no makeup lab, and therefore no more makeup kits to sell. I can't say I mind it too much as I do prefer doing full makeup looks, but this is disappointing. The main challenge in Fashion Forward was matching the makeup to a reference photo. Other than that, the player had full control of what look they gave the client, for better or worse. Here, they decided to get rid of the more interesting option, which was the challenge of copying a reference photo. And yes, they could get a little repetitive, but it was something. Now every single request is left to the player. Again, where is my cortisol? And don't forget the new addition to the Style Boutique family! You can now do nails! Yay! This is honestly such a missed opportunity. Nails are arguably less versatile than hair or makeup. There are set designs, some with floral prints, some with crazy colours and asymmetry. And you're telling me this doesn't work like the boutique? I mean, the top menu literally had images listed. Girly, bold, boho chic. Maybe this would make a filter redundant, but at the very least, a customer could ask for something that suits them or suits a special occasion. Instead, you can give them literally anything and they're perfectly fine with it. Also, the nails look rough. The designs themselves are nice, but the hands. It's also hard to see the designs in the first place, but I think the devs tried their best with limited resolution. Wouldn't it be cool for nails to work similar to the hair salon and Fashion Forward? Asking the customer about why they're getting them done, asking about the length or shape of their desired nails, colours, images. Give me some long coffins for my job interview, anyone? Plus, if you happen to skip through dialogue, like me when I am annoyed at the existence of nails in Style Boutique, the game doesn't give you an option to listen to a customer request again like it does in the boutique. I mean, yeah, if you don't request anything, I guess that tracks, but still. And unlike Fashion Forward or Trendsetters, I feel like this game has a really dry flow of customers. It's about 2-3 maximum and that's it. The only thing pushing me to go to another shop is the fact that the shop is empty. But that isn't the best motivator if I'm honest. Especially when A, the other shops are also empty, and B, I'm stuck doing 3 sets of nails when all I wanted to do was makeup. It's like a worsened version of my problem in Fashion Forward, where all the requests began to center around makeup sets. Lorelei also allows you to choose custom nails and buy makeup, a welcome return from trendsetters. I missed being able to pick and buy makeup, even if it was expensive. It's better than Rainbow. Anything is better than Rainbow. She also offers makeup sets, but they're... It's a shame that, unlike trendsetters, there aren't makeup brands assigned to each colour or makeup kit. I think it would add an extra layer of depth. The weird part is that you're kinda restricted on what colours you can buy for makeup. Fashion Forward let you choose any colour for any part of makeup. Want to wear blush in the colour black? Sure. In Styling Star? Take these varying weird looking pinks and purples and the odd orange, I guess. Also, what blush is supposed to work on darker skin tones? Why does it look like smeared chalk? I swear this problem was not this bad in the past. Anyways, makeup is unfortunately quite restrictive when it attempts realism. You can get a surprise look for, you guessed it, £75. And it comes with the same options of cool, cute, and... wait, bright? Why did the hair salon have casual? What? Can this game be consistent for 1 second? The word lively is right there. And I'm not even gonna question the subtitle dazzling and zesty, like, okay, you might as well call me Fagatron. Men! They exist in this game! Whoa! In related news, you can also dress them up. Yay! Since Sophia has moved men's fashion from the back rooms and put it back front and center in your very own boutique. Oh. No. This essentially works like the hair salon and Beauticians. Xiaobai enters town to open a menswear shop, and I have to say his storyline is my favourite. Not because it involves Johan, the very eccentric composer, having a crisis, but because the dialogue options are so funny. Like, this guy is begging you for help, and you can genuinely just say, "Buck up, youngster," or "Chin up." Or in response to Johan stressing him out, you can just say, "Have fun with that. Bye!" Anyways, the shop itself is a lot like the other mechanics in this game. Very shallow. Again, in trendsetters you would sell men and women's clothing. Therefore, both were subject to the same limited stock, the same risk and reward, and the same challenge. At the menswear shop, you know my main issue, not making big bucks from the shop. But the shop also removes any challenge. You have access to what feels like every item of clothing imaginable, which is great on a character design level. I do really love trying my best to expose the guy's noodle arms. But again, this is a game, and I'm not really getting much of that. Yes, I still have the try it on and have a look options, but there's no satisfaction behind that when I'm not really being challenged or rewarded. I like having a limited stock. Where's the joy and whimsy behind awfully coordinated outfits? The thrill of managing to sell an outfit that's 100% preppy except for a pair of chic shoes. The lifestyle shop is a welcome return from trendsetters, which allows you to buy furniture and shop interiors for both your apartment and boutique. Yay! It's run by Pippa, who has a passion for business and once asked me for advice on what to buy her mother as a gift. Anyways, like so many shops in this game, this is yet again a ported version of Fashion Forward. Furniture is sold like miniatures. Honestly, I don't even see a lot of furniture to buy here. Maybe I haven't leveled up enough, but you'd think a lifestyle shop would sell a table or two. Though I will say I do enjoy the ability to more freely decorate my own bedroom and my shop. The same will go for the Florist. It's run by Florian, a nice little throwback to the Power Region localization of trendsetters where the Florist is also named Florian. Maybe it's the same guy. Please don't make me make a Style Boutique timeline video. Grandma Elaine already made it hard enough last time. His sister Flora also makes a reappearance, but without the fortune telling. While the Florist is the most key minor location to the main storyline, being the shop where both Camilla and Rosie get part-time jobs, on its own, it's just a place where you can buy miniature plants. I will always love Style Boutique's oddly specific sale of plants though. Looking at you, Morning Glory. The cake shop is also like the lifestyle shop, and Florist. It's a place where you can buy miniature cakes. They look great. I love the couple who runs the place, Mike and Madeira. Get it? Madeira, because the cake. Wait, is this just an English thing? Wait. Do people not get the joke? Is this like trousers and wellies and dungarees? Oh my god. Anyways, he's the talkative one and she's the shy one. Madeira Kinney's rise up and awkwardly avoid eye contact while another person talks to your friend and or husband. The bakery store is like the lifestyle store, which is like the florist, which is like the cake shop, which is like the bakery store, which is to say, you can buy bread miniatures here. Wow. Who would have thunken it? But it's only open on Sundays. Yay. Creativity. Does my character just starve, or is someone actually gonna fucking sell me food I can eat in this game? I like Michel and his French shenanigans. His bread looks good. If only I could eat it! My guy Tamois is underrated as hell. Always gets me a drink. He won't tell me what it is though. I miss the days when NPCs used to tell me about civet droppings used to make coffee. Style Boutique used to be educational, and we used to be a proper country. You'll occasionally find people to chat to here, but it feels quite limited, honestly. Just a little detail would go a long way. Tell me what drink you're offering. Is it seasonal? Is it tea? Coffee? Make a basic comment on pumpkin spice. Give me anything! The live music club is like the lifestyle shop, which is like the florist, which is like the cake shop, which is like the bakery store, which is like, oh wait! No it isn't! It doesn't sell miniatures! It somehow manages to do even less, despite taking up part of the main storyline when it comes to building it. Somebody please help me, I'm gonna go insane! I want to see cool bands. I want to see local performances from the main girls outside of the main storyline. I want to see Vincent in the band he's always dreamed of. Instead, Joe and Vincent talk about light snacks for when music isn't playing and offer me a non-existent menu before kicking me out. But I will say Vincent is a very good cook if he can apparently make oxtail and red wine. Why so fancy for a live music club? He likes cooking. And Joe's mega rich older brother invested in the place. There was family drama. The park is used as a key location for story progression. It's often where you'll find key characters stressing out, or Michel talking about his constipation. He paints on weekdays. Somebody give him a day job. The station doesn't exist! No, really, it really only exists for story events. Outside of that, it's just empty. No options to visit other cities or parks. Definitely one of the worst downgrades in the game. Especially in a game where there's only one scrolling map instead of separate areas. Your apartment. Like in every game, your apartment is where you can access your personal wardrobe and makeup. There's also the new addition of nails. You know how I feel about them. The scrapbook is back, but I find it odd how they gave it its own designated button when you can still access it from the wardrobe. The only difference is a matter of like 2 buttons. I think it'd be more useful if it allowed you to access your clothing scrapbook, makeup, and design scrapbook all at once. Oh, Styling Star and its redundant buttons. I will say I like having the ability to scrapbook makeup looks a lot. It's a nice fill-in for no longer being able to make your own makeup sets, which I pretty much used for the same purpose in Fashion Forward. Being able to decorate my apartment again is great, thanks to the return of the lifestyle store. But I honestly have like nothing unlocked, so it looks like shit. Also, I feel like this would be the perfect place to use Fashion Forward's miniature mechanic. Like how you can rearrange furniture in your shop, I think being able to rearrange furniture in the apartment would be cooler than staring at it from like one angle. I also want to give my character the worst possible feng shui in their room and leave them vulnerable to birds and monkeys. The most interesting option in your apartment is probably the design option, which is pretty much a newer version of the free design option in Fashion Forward's boutique. I honestly don't design my own things very often in Style Boutique just because I can never make them look good. There are also fewer options when it comes to designs, only including inners, shoes, bags, and dresses. There's a possibility I need to unlock things, but I haven't seen anything mentioned online, so let me know. The designer is also less detailed. What happened to eyelets? Houndstooth? What I do like though is the ability to design a brand logo and a shopping bag for your boutique. Logos look a lot more official than amateurish emblems, and are much easier for people without styluses to make. I'm not talking about anyone specific, what gave you that idea? I also wish you could make more than 3 emblems. 5 at least. Please. You can scrapbook your designs, which will include custom designs you made for the main 3 girls as part of the game's storyline. Look how awful these are. It's beautiful. I wish we could sell these in store. Not the girls' outfits, but our own designs. But nope. Commissions don't exist in this game, because why would Styling Star ever give me more ways to make money? Right, in the last video, I said Styling Star's music gave me a headache. That is still true. I think a reason for this is that the music for the game was outsourced to what seems to be 2 companies, Super Love and One Trap. Music in Trendsetters and Fashion Forward was handled by people at Nintendo, including my king Toshiyuki Suro. Everybody give him a round of applause, love that guy! It definitely feels a lot different. I don't know why this was done. I'm unemployed as hell. Budget stuff, higher ups, game direction. But yeah, there's not a lot I like. Like, just listen to the Mewtwo music. I hate everything about it. And maybe it's supposed to be like, haha, goofy internet music, meow meow, but get out of my head! Get out of my head! It does have my favorite Nintendo sound though. Shop2 and the Design Center have okay music, but I can't hear it because error code 00201110 says I can't. The map music is pretty good. Nice drums, little brass in there, good little beat switch up into swing. Very stereotypical I'm in a big city music. Except the city doesn't feel big. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Also, I can hear the cut in the music when it loops. Like, who let that in? Who let that in? The Beauticians has a more chilled out energy compared to the map. I like that little fluty sound and little saxophone. Bassy. But it's just not... Like, the music is okay. The mixing could be better. Especially on things like the exhibition theme song. Like, this is pretty jazzy. But like, it tries too hard to be this girly pop type beat. I just play this game on mute half the time. I will say I do listen to the beginning 5 seconds of the Nin10 Pro music. The mixing is really weird, but it's annoyingly catchy. What is this sound? Also again, bass. Nice little groovy rhythm going. The main girls also have their own little leitmotifs. As much as I like Rosie, her theme makes me want to strangle her. I'm so sorry. They're a lot like their designs. Very exaggerated. But I do like the fact that they have themes in the first place, and that you get to hear them more often than you would in Trendsetters or Fashion Forward. The boutique has a decent selection of music too. I love a little textbook balloon in my boutique. It's got those New Jack Swing type snare drums. Listen. I mean, you could sing some Michael Jackson to this, like, do you remember the time when we fell in love? Do you remember the time when we first met? Girl, remember the time when we fell in love? Do you remember the time? Remember my baby? Okay, I won't do any more now. I also used to love Good Morning. That one's a banger. Very catchy. Songs like Glamorous, on the other hand, are very 2017. They even have the 2010s A. I just describe a lot of this as like royalty-free life hack video background music. Very much a product of its time, which doesn't fare well in the big year of 2025. I think trendsetters especially had a much greater focus on trying to be as timeless as possible in all aspects, from clothing trends to music. And it does so quite successfully. Styling Star, on the other hand, I do like how it offers the songs sung in-game as themes though. It's nice to hear the girls' voices. Oh, no, they're synths now. I get it, it'd be too distracting with words, but did it have to be the crazy dubstep type synth? I don't want to be choosing clothes and hear not the greatest OST. But wayo gayo! Haven't you forgotten the entire point of the game? Yes, I have. Just kidding. What's the laziest form of YouTube content today? That's right! Ranking videos on YouTube Shorts with little to no critical thought behind them and a missing number 1 to improve engagement. So, I thought I would cash in with my own, very lazy, very boring song tier list of every song the main girls sing in the game. There are like 15 in total? Here they are. At number 15 we have Bravo. I can't listen to it without hearing the advert for the game, which uses the same song. The drums are really messy. I don't know what it is, like echo? Reverb? It's catchy like any song with the trio, but Bravo, you are brave, you are, we are. Call me Timberland at age 35 because being Bravo brave is just the way I are.
To apologize for that doubtful joke, I have been replaced by a Spanish text-to-speech voice. Número 14. Rin10. This is one of the songs featuring the main three girls. I'm matter for the sake of fating. Yolanda Estelle the showgirl. Te amo. It's not a bad song. It just ranked it low because it the lyrics Rin10. Además, pienso que la verdad lisa y llana es que Joan es un mamallago.
Okay, that's enough Spanish. I'm back and I'm still unfunny. Number 13. Higher Higher by Rosie. The lyrics are a little rushed in this one. It's just not very memorable. But I like when Camilla sings it with Rosie. I want to see them top the AO3 charts, please. Dethrone whatever mlim ship is at the top and put this here, please. Number 12. Glowing by Yolanda. What kind of 2008 Neo song drums are these? What genre does the song want to be? There's like no rise or fall in energy. Just a little boring. Also ends really suddenly. Number 11. Twinkle Fantasia promo by Alina. Fun video. I like Alina's voice more when she sings in Japanese. The production in this is crazy though. So many sounds. Too many sounds. Number 10. To the Future by Rosie. I like imagining this as a love song to Camilla. The verse gets a little low for Rosie's singer's register though, and it's too short. Number 9. Make Me Glow by Yolanda. Why do they keep making her like B-Tech Whitney Houston? First putting her in a fake movie about a bodyguard romance which is clearly based on The Bodyguard, and now this I Wanna Dance with Somebody type beat. The lyrics feel a little awkward, but I like what they were going for. Too short though. Number 8. Radiance by Alina. Again, Alina's voice. Not my fave, but I like the harmonies. Alina loves the drama in her songs, and I appreciate that. Number 7. Break It Down by Alina. Yay, the Japanese flows better. It's just a nice consistent song. But the lyrics are like very fast. I've never managed to read them. Number 6. Ready Go by Rosie. It's like Flying Shiny Day but more energetic. The lyrics get a little janky and a lot of them are just oh 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 oh, which is also very 2010s. Good ending though. Number 5. Wings by Yolanda. Yolanda's voice is my favourite. The words aren't too awkward and I like the production, especially the swoops. But it ends suddenly again. Common theme, clearly. Number 4. Flying Shiny Day by Rosie. I like the chord progression. lyrics aren't too awkward, and it doesn't have a weirdly sudden ending. But that's kinda it. The bare minimum. Things are truly getting crazy at number 3, where we have Maria by Alina. It's just really fun to watch. I don't really like Alina's voice, I've said before, but drama!
I don't need an answer, won't you please just watch over me? Don't need an answer, won't you please just watch over me?
Like, listen to her hit that high note. Like, okay, I see you. Number 2, Beautiful by Yolanda. Cool harmonies and lets Yolanda's vocals go. I love a little focus on synth bass. And number 1, the one with a bunch of anticipation in... Jesus, that's the second time I've done a fake out in this video. That's how you know things are getting bad. Okay, yeah, anyways, number 1 is Fight For Your Style. Like, come on, classic, best production, catchy AF. You're telling me you don't let the title screen play just once in a while and go,
Are you ready? Don't you be afraid now. Welcome to the new stage. You can have it, everybody okay. Welcome to the new stage. Gotta reach out for your dreams. What are you waiting for? Let's go.
I guess my least favorite parts of the music in this game are the sound effects. They're so loud! Why are they so loud? This game gets so loud out of nowhere, and it made it a nightmare to play discreetly. I can cut someone's hair in relative silence until... Who did this? Why do the sound effects sound so, like, crunchy? You can literally spam a button and you can hear it crackling. It's just so weird hearing, like, crystal clear music with actual production and everything put into it, and then the next second, like, pressing any button and hearing... Like, what's going on here? Anyways, yeah, can someone please tell me I'm not the only one who, like, notices the drastic quality difference in the sound effects in this game compared to literally everything else? While writing this video, I've been wondering as to why Fashion Forward was more successful at keeping me playing after the main game was over. The only reward you really get at that point is money. But I think the compelling part of the game lies within the sim aspect, something that I'm kind of mixed on with Styling Star. It's back to the one-screen deal of trendsetters for this map, which doesn't work great because it's not trendsetters. For a game with additions like the Hair Salon, Beauticians, Menswear shop, Nin10 Pro, I think it would have greatly benefited from the segmented layout that Fashion Forward brought. Especially for a game that tries to throw a decent amount of world building and character lore at you. I also think things could be more spread out. The number of times I've clicked on my apartment instead of the boutique should be shameful. Same with trying to click the station and not the menswear shop. Look, I'm sorry I lost my styluses, but they were either chewed by my older sister, this is a direct call out post on my youtube.com because she's too lazy to watch this fast, so I'm gonna shame you, or I lost them like a normal person does. And although this game has the park, there isn't exactly someone you're guaranteed to see every day in the same Florian and Rainbow were regulars and trendsetters in Fashion Forward. I quite liked the downtown area and trendsetters, but again, I think Fashion Forward has the edge here. The way you navigate the map itself is built to function like a downtown area where you can talk to just random civilians. A key part of opening the menswear shop is talking to men to direct them there. And although Xiaobai, much like me, questions why there are so many more women in the city than men, it's hard to find any men if I can only talk to characters in select locations. This is the straightest I've ever sounded in a video. Somebody find me a man! But yeah, the layout of the map in Styling Star definitely feels counterintuitive in a game that tries to immerse you in its world and characters. A lot of the decisions in this game's development feel counterintuitive to its core aim. Let's not even mention how the station is only a pseudo-location for you to meet characters in. If there's no storyline occurring, you can't go anywhere alone. I'm just saying, if Rosie talks about her farm so often, why can't I go there on my own? New conspiracy theory, Rosie isn't actually a farm girl. She's an obsessed Angelique fan who paid off a random farmer to use their land to fool us all. That honestly doesn't sound too bad though, that's pretty more funding than the government subsidies or monopolies allow. The mobile phone is, again, available to the player at pretty much all times outside styling and story beats, which makes saving really easy. Speaking of, the save time on this game. Insane. It's like pretty much instant. Aside from saving, your phone has 14 apps available. I'll go through each one. The album is quite self-explanatory, though also a downgrade from Fashion Forward. Images take a while to load, and you're now limited to deleting 15 photos at a time as opposed to the unlimited number you could delete in Fashion Forward. However, there are also some new additions. You can now set your pictures as a wallpaper on your phone. I haven't changed mine since 2022 for sentimental reasons, but I like the added personalization. There's also an edit function, which allows for the player to add photo frames and filters to a photo. Edited pictures are saved as copies, rather than ruining the original photo. Thank God, I wish that was the default on everything. And you can layer edits on top of each other. I just wish there was more variety in the filters, as they are limited to 2 quite old film-looking effects. Especially for a fashion game, I'd like more sparkles or cool vignettes. The restock market is a wonderful quality of life improvement that the series desperately needed. Does it take away some of the challenge of being limited with your stock? Yeah. But with something like this, I don't really care as much. You can finally restock your boutique using items you've already purchased, instead of having to wait for items to cycle around again in the exhibition hall. The search function is also present, making it easy to find the exact items you need. That said, do I use it? Not really. I don't tend to use the phone much beyond checking messages, if I'm honest, and I like the challenge. But depending on how you play, it might be really nice to be able to restock in a more convenient way. Or, dress everyone in the same outfit. You can buy up to 99 copies of the same item. Also, just realised you can increase the number of items you want using the shoulder buttons. I never noticed. MewTube, if you haven't guessed already, acts as the game's in-world YouTube, and allows you to re-watch every performance from Rosie, Alina, and Yolanda. Once you've completed the game, their alternate performances, i.e. the ones they would have performed if you dressed them in their second style, become available to watch too. They come with subtitles which you can toggle on and off. You can also change the camera angles of the performance. There's also a feature called You Diva. That's such a dumb name, wait! I'm sorry, the way I had to lock in to say that. You Diva, who names stuff? Anyways, You Diva allows you to replace any of the girls with anyone from your contacts, minus the men. If only I could see Uncle Tim perform in the flesh. You can also alter their wardrobe. It's quite fun to experiment with different characters and outfits. Awards are an interesting addition to the game. Cool for completionists, but I could do without it. But I feel this way about awards and player titles in any game. They're just very... #poster-child. #just-blessed. I just learned internet lingo and now I'm down with the kiddies. The to-do list does what you expect it to do. If you're lucky enough to have friends and ones that make plans with you, they go here. Mine is usually empty. Contacts are cool. The same quirky character descriptions are here. And if your friendship rank is high enough, you can even text characters. You can put in where you want to meet from a selection of the places you work at, and select a time to meet which covers the morning to tomorrow night. They even message you back. It's pretty cute. One of the stronger points of the game's immersion. With Shopdo, Design Center, and Share, I can't talk much about them. Rest in peace, laddies. All I'll say is that they look really cool and I missed them. I want to meet other boutique owners and buy their outfits, and buy people's designs when I can't design my own. They look so cool! I feel like I'm missing out on half a game here, and I'm really sad about it. Again, I don't have an NFC reader, so even if I wanted to scan my Yoshi amiibo, I couldn't. Amiibo seem to work similar to Fashion Forward, with many of the items from the aforementioned game returning, apart from items from the Kid Icarus and Fire Emblem series. Sorry guys. Items in general have less choice in terms of colour variation, only really coming in their original colour. But the designs and emblems amiibo can give you are pretty nice. I especially like the Breath of the Wild tunic inspired design. I want it. Messages. You message people. People message you sometimes. That's nice. Also, people have less typing quirks, which makes me really sad. Where's my all caps messages? My emoticons? Why do these all read like emails? Even down to the regarding, like what? Fashion 101 has big brain fashion stuff. I'm still grateful this exists sometimes. Like, I know what mules look like, but I want something more in depth that isn't Google AI. Again, in a very neutral way. Can we please make generative AI unprofitable and put investments towards medical advances instead of whatever thing Sam Altman has announced somewhere? The electronic manual just takes you to a manual. Wow, enlightening. I will say though, I do miss manuals. They're genuinely really helpful at teaching you stuff about the game you might miss. I'd love them for Switch games, since Switch packaging no longer comes with the many goodies of a chunky DS case. Oh plastic, how you destroyed the environment but how you brought me joy. Wallpaper is basically the preset wallpaper section of the game. I think some of these could edge into the Frutiger era aesthetic, but they just about missed the mark. Not really a fan of them, but I do like feeling like an obsessive fangirl of the girls with these wallpaper options. Or an obsessive fangirl over Enid Chen. You see, if Miss Ribbon were here, maybe I'd consider it. If we consider this in terms of story, Styling Star definitely succeeds at synthesizing the life sim aspects of things with gameplay. With the story centered on how fashion enables true self-expression, and the talent industry, albeit way less toxic, I wish CEOs were as chaotically evil as Ethan, fashion, and therefore the gameplay, blends almost seamlessly with the sim aspect. You don't really feel the separation between game and life sim, as it truly feels like you're just here to help 3 girls achieve their dreams. Until you finish the main campaign. Then cracks start to show in the core gameplay loop, because truthfully, there isn't really one. A weak rank system to motivate the player, lack of incentive to move between shops, and lack of variety in terms of experience between shops leaves Styling Star feeling deceptively rich in content. Yes, this game has no more limits on the number of clothing you can store in the storeroom, but it also cuts down on so much of what made Fashion Forward and Trendsetters so great. 2,400 additional pieces of clothing doesn't really make up for that. Yurie Hattori, the director I mentioned at the start of the video who didn't come back for Styling Star, once said this about the first Style Boutique game from the DS. It's as if the characters in the game are actually alive was one of the themes of this project. And while the main campaign of Styling Star definitely accomplishes this, outside the main girls, I don't really feel much of a connection towards these NPCs. There's just not enough behind my experiences with them to make them memorable. I don't really have the opportunity to meet many NPCs who are just normal people either. Trendsetters had the downtown area, which I admit was quite weak, but it was something. And Fashion Forward used its map as a sectioned hub area where you could always find someone to talk to. I don't have that feeling in Styling Star where there's always something to do, someone to talk to, or something to see. The park is your best chance to talk to someone, but even then, it's typically Johan. Who are these girls I see at the top screen of the map? Let me talk to the people of the streets! Moreover, the loss of fashion contests and fashion shows, what I feel has kind of been part of the lifeblood of this series since its conception, is definitely felt. Hard. It links to what I said earlier about no longer feeling like a main character in the story of the game. It's not necessarily bad, but the player doesn't really feel that personal satisfaction of success. It's more so experienced second-hand. But then, of course, there's the question. How should Style Boutique evolve? You can't keep using the same formula forever, and I'm sure we can all agree that Fashion Dreamer, despite it being a separate thing entirely, is definitely not the direction we want to pursue. As hard as I am on Styling Star, it does manage to shake things up while still feeling relatively faithful to Style Boutique as a series. But I don't think my opinions on it being the black sheep of the series have changed while making this video. Usually I come out of these with a new sense of appreciation for each game. That wasn't really the case here outside the main story. If anything, it left me feeling kind of bitter. There was just so much missed potential here. And I guess the main contributor is budget. But I'd rather a game were honest about its limited experience instead of giving the illusion of content only to disappoint. Did we really need a cafe and a cake shop and a bakery stall? Or is this just an excuse to show me more cool characters? I'd rather have a richer experience at the cafe, honestly. I've combined my discussion of the sim aspect of the game and gameplay with improvements, or lack thereof this time, because I think this whole video has been filled with comparisons. I do feel a little guilty about that. Would my opinions on the game change if I judged it as a standalone? Maybe. But I also like to examine things in context. The context being that this game is the next and final, for now, evolution of the Style Boutique series. And it's just not as good. It has its own strengths, definitely, but it's also the game I pick up the least. So, I guess you're wondering what my official verdict is for the game. Are you the styling star of all time? I'd say yes, but you're like one of those stars that looks really bright until you realize it's a plane. Planes are still cool as hell, but like, I actually managed it. I actually made a trilogy of bake videos. Yay! I can't believe it's kind of over. Like, this series has been an idea in the back of my mind since I started posting seriously here in March 2023. And since then, I've... A lot happens in 2 years. But thank you all so much for watching. Like, seriously, I wouldn't have made it this far without you. I'm so happy this game series has such a cool community that you, like, actually want me to talk about things. Like, I'm gonna be sad now. The main thing on my mind for the past 2 years has been, when's the next Style Boutique video gonna drop? Now I don't have that. I still have tons of ideas I want to make, but damn. End of an era. That doesn't mean I'll never talk about Style Boutique again. I'm sure I'll have something more to say one day. Maybe a bonus video in the DS game once I finally finish it, or my opinions might change. Or I'll write a 70-chapter YN fic about Chad and read it aloud. Or become a Twitch streamer and stream every game ever. But, yeah. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed and that you stick around for whatever extravagant shitpost I might make next. Type your favorite Style Boutique OTP in the comments below and start a war. I'll start. Ooh, Uncle Tim